Today I'm going to be giving some tips and tricks if it's your very first time journeying, and some things that'll make it easier for you to go on that journey. So the way that shamanism is explained is that basically a shaman is someone who is a traveler, who is someone who walks between worlds. So between this world, which is a tangible reality, ordinary reality that you can see and touch, and someone who can travel to the unseen worlds. These are places like talking to helping spirits, going to the upper world, going to the lower world, traveling even in the middle world. So I know that all sounds maybe a little bit hard to understand or grasp. So I wanted to break down kind of what actually happens when you journey. So if it's your first time journeying, what I would recommend is really to find a guide. I know when I first started, the very first thing I did was I went on Udemy and I took an online course on shamanic journeying. Because for me, with someone, like, I have a business background, and so I'm like kind of just naturally analytical and a little skeptical of these things, and I was like, I'm not gonna spend honestly more than like $5. Like, I'm gonna spend $5 and take an online course and just like, then I can see if it even like makes any sense to me. And I actually was on the beginning journey of my spiritual seeking path, and I took probably 3 or 4 of these like $5 courses. Like, I took one on tarot, I took one on like angels, I took one on shamanic healing, and the shamanic stuff is what really stood out to me. And I think the reason for that is because you had to let go. There's a certain element of release that happens. You know, it's like, even if you're reading tarot, granted, there's amazing healers who will like read your tarot cards and it's like spirits working through them. But a lot of times, you know, you're still here. You're still like in present reality. You're reading the cards, you're connecting with spirit, but you're very much still relatively here. And as someone who's in my head a lot, and I'm sure you can relate to this, I wanted something totally opposite. I wanted something almost paranormal, almost like out of body. Literally, I wanted something out of body. I was so sick of being in my head. Like, I know what it feels like to be in my head. I don't need to do that anymore. So when I did the shamanic journeying in this online course, I had a taste of like, oh, like that time that I traveled felt unaccounted for. It felt like I tasted a little bit of magic. But I will say, and that course was amazing. However, it wasn't until I took a weekend workshop, and depending on where you live, you know, there are always like in-person workshops where you can do this. I took a 3-day workshop because I was like, okay, I like it enough that now I'm willing to spend like $200 and kind of dip my toe into this like interesting new thing and see where it goes. And it wasn't until that situation that I feel like I really traveled as a shamanic healer for the first time. And that was a mind-blowing experience. So I want to break down for you some of the things that I experienced that first time, in case you're about to go on a journey too, and you're just like, what is this stuff? Like, what can I expect? One of the key components of traveling is using sound in order to help carry you. And in shamanism, we do this through the use of a beat of a drum. So in this case, I want to introduce you to the drum that I currently use. This is my Remo Buffalo drum. I did not get this from an artisan. I bought this on Amazon Prime, but it's still a beautiful drum, and it has a mallet here. And essentially, if you think about during the journey, right, there's going to be a rhythmic drum that allows you to almost get to a place of meditation where you can relax and let go. So during the journey, it might sound something like this. oftentimes if you're going to a weekend workshop or one of these intensives, whoever's leading the workshop, whether it's the teacher or maybe they might have some teaching assistants, are going to drum on your behalf. So there will be someone who's carrying and holding the drum and drumming for you in that beat. So one of the important things about going on a shamanic journey is that there's a very clean beginning, middle, and end. The reason for that is when you journey, you essentially sink into a deeper state of consciousness. You're still awake, you're not sleeping, and your body is here in the room, wherever you are, obviously. It's not like you levitate, okay? You're still physically here, but what's happening is that you are in a meditative, deeper, almost sleep state, but not quite. And the beat of the drum is carrying you. And during this time, similar to when you're sleeping and the prefrontal cortex is sort of asleep, and therefore you're able to do things that defy normal reality, right? So in dreams, you're able to fly. In dreams, you're able to skip between scenes, between time and space. You might be seeing yourself as a child, and then all of a sudden you see yourself as an old person. You might see yourself die. There's no rules in dreaming. The same sort of laws of physics apply during your shamanic journey. And for that reason, because we're not entirely asleep and we're still here, I think it's really important to have that beginning, middle, and end, because that's what provides that level of safety for you, so that you know no matter what happens, you're not going to get stuck in that place, or you're not going to get lost and can't return. There's always a beginning which marks the journey either downward or upward or outward, right? There's the journey itself, and then there's the end, which has a callback. So let me break down these different parts first. So the very first part, when you begin to journey, typically what we do is what's called a powering up. And this is where, let's say you're in a circle with other people, you kind of just let yourself go a little wild. And the idea here is that you're literally calling all of the unseen helping spirits. You're calling to your ancestors. It's like the bat, what's the thing called? It's like when Batman is called. It's like you're putting the call out there that, okay, I'm about to journey, come with me, come help me, come support me. So you're putting that call out. And the powering up is really just to get to a higher vibration, to a higher energy level, such that the helping spirits and all of the gods and goddesses that you work with are aware that, oh, okay, Mandy's about to go on a journey, I better go hop in on with her. Or, for example, your medicine council, which is the group of people that you most trust and love and that are there to help you, so that they might just be simply alerted that this is about to happen. And then similarly, the callback is what happens at the end, and that's really a signal to you as the person who's somewhat passively in this journey. I will unpack the word passively in future episodes, but essentially the one who's experiencing the journey to come back. Okay? So let me play the two versions for you, and then what I'll do is kind of explain the first time that I journeyed and what I saw and how I even got there. Okay? So in the beginning, in the power up, it's going to be a pretty fervent, hot and heavy, sexy, cool drumming. Okay? So you're really trying to conjure up some energy here. You might have just been, getting off of a meeting, or you're just not in the right mind space. This is the time to get into the mind space and let go of whatever shit you've been carrying around and sort of surrender to the fact that you're about to go on something a little non-analytical. You're about to go on a little journey. So it might be like, So then once the power up is done, then you'll hear a settling into a normal kind of drumming. And that's when you'll journey. Typically, a journey anywhere from, I'd say, 10 to 20, sometimes 30 minutes, although 30 minutes seems a bit extreme. So, these are short. They don't take a long time. And at the end, what you'll hear is a callback, which sounds like this. Sounds just like its name. It's literally a callback. How do you actually go on a journey? What do you do? Just like close your eyes? Because I know in the past, I even had a hard time with just meditating. I was like, I can barely freaking close my eyes and listen to like Andy on that Mindspace app without being like, okay, this is stupid, or like, I have this report to do, or I'm gonna pick up this thing for the kids. Like, I just had so much mental chatter, and obviously that's the point of the practice. However, I was like, I guess I was just really curious about like, what are the logistics behind, this is like the operations person in me. I'm like, what are the logistics behind shamanic journeying? But, so what happened for me was, the first time I was in that weekend workshop, essentially they started the powering up, and trust me, I was like, I'm not ready to like hoot and holler with a bunch of strangers. Now I am really good at hooting and hollering with a bunch of strangers, but at the time it was definitely a little bit self-conscious. But basically what I did was you lie down on the floor and you can place like a cloth or even like an eye shade over your eyes. I take my glasses off and I put them to the side, and you just make yourself comfortable. And I'm going to start with the lower world. So the lower world is essentially things that are beneath the earth. So imagine, for me, it's like there's a cave that I can go to, or there's like an underground tunnel that I'll travel through, and often they'll tell you that you're supposed to look for something in the world that you're familiar with. So for example, you're supposed to think of a tree that you know, like an actual physical tree that like you drive by every day. So you go to this tree and then you go to the root of the tree, and what you're supposed to do is just suspend your imagination and kind of burrow down into the ground. And you'll actually find that like this is easier than you think, because we do this in our dreams all the time, right? Like we go places, we open doors, we squeeze in through crevices in our dreams. So it's pretty similar where I found the tree, and then I found the base of the tree, and I basically was able to imagine myself finding a little hole and like sticking my head in the hole and then like going down and going down. And the very first journey that I went on, and let me frame this for you. When you go on a journey, you don't just like go and hang out and like go to a Starbucks with your friends in this journey. A journey has structure. Part of a journey is that you go into the journey with an inquiry. Okay? And as a new practitioner, a lot of these inquiries are meant to familiarize yourself with the cast of characters or the places or the tools that you have and you'll need in your shamanic life to help you become a stronger healer. Okay? So the very first journey that I ever went on was to go and find my power place. And essentially, this is a place that you can conjure up in your mind. It can be an actual place that you know, like, oh, this pier in Santa Monica, or it can be a fictional place. In my case, it's an underground, through the tunnel of the tree. There's a cave that's lit by a fire, and there's sand on the bottom of it, and the walls are kind of reddish and black. This is my power place. And again, I didn't write this out beforehand. I wasn't like, let me screenplay out what I think my power place should be. It just, the instruction was, close your eyes, follow the beat of the drum, go to your power place. Something is going to come up for you. And So in this process, okay, so I burrowed my way down, and the task was go find a power place, and it's just where I happened to land. It was like my brain or my heart or spirit, or all of it created this place. It's just where I landed. And I had to go into it with kind of no judgment, right? I couldn't be like, wait, I don't want this cave as my power place. You know, or I couldn't be like, I want a fancier power place. Like, that's just what happened to be for me. And the thing is, it's like a video game, kind of. Like, you get to explore the place, you know? You get to kind of look around and like open doors and be like, hello, who's here? And that's why I mean, like, it is a kind of active process, right? So I found the power place, I looked around, I noticed things. It's almost like I could smell it and taste it, like it was so real. Went on the journey, okay, to get to know my power place, understand what it is, describe it in my mind, imprint it on my mind. And then when I heard the callback, right, that really fast, like, like beating, it was like, oh, okay, so, well, okay, thank you, power place, nice to meet you, good to see you, this is amazing. And then the instruction was, when you hear the callback, come back the way you came. So whatever hole you came through, sometimes people see ladders, sometimes people take an elevator. I mean, it's really up to your, you know, own creation. I kind of scurried back up and then popped out of the tree. And then oftentimes, if the tree is in the ordinary world, as in like you pop out and you kind of feel like, yeah, I'm on Earth, I'm like in Colorado, I'm on my street, like you can actually come back in, you know, you can travel from that tree to your house, up the front steps, up the stairs, into this room, back into your body, and then you kind of come out of it. And the last thing I'll say is that I always recommend that you have a notebook right next to you, because just like when you're dreaming, there are these things or ideas or concepts or people or places, just details that you really want to write down. And you'll get better at it over time. I mean, over time, you're not going to need to obsessively capture the level of detail, because the beauty of this is, like, you can really go here anytime you want, which is pretty incredible. So I hope this was helpful, and I will have more and more videos talking about the intersection between the shamanic spiritual practice and how we lead our lives and make decisions in everyday reality. All right, peace out. See you guys next time.